It is another Human First AI Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Montague at Avenue 9. You can find us at avenue9.com. My very special guest this week is Rachel Minion. You can find her at rachelminion.com. We keep it easy. We're marketers. It's called branding. We're going to talk about a little bit about your brand this week, talking about authenticity in the age of AI. And I think authenticity and automation kind of go head to head a lot here these days, Rachel. And I think even with having an AI write your email or your blog post or something, it feels like there's a slider from like human to AI. And you're like, how far am I willing to go to AI before it's no longer human and it's no longer in my voice? I guess we'll just start with that question. Where have you put that line for yourself? And what do you think the balance is?
Well, it's funny. I don't know if that's the full scale because we have the
Mm.
AI, we have the human, and then you have all those guys who the same thing of like, I'm going to get you 25 leads in 6 minutes, like the sham wow kind of guys. And there's that part of the scale too, right? So we want to go human. We want
The
to use
robots?
automation and we want to stay far away from those horrible, terrible guys who also give you all the guarantees in the world. And they're just so full of garbage.
Yeah.
So, how do we create for that and how do we stay authentic to ourselves? I think it's a really good test and it's a balance. I've spent a lot of time working with my chat to make sure that it sounds like me. And when something comes back that definitively does not sound like me, I go back, nope, make it more Rachel Minion. It's like, oh, got it. It's not bold enough. It's not Spitfire enough. And it hasn't told you like it is. Got it. Check. But I think that when we're going out right now, we're in an age where everybody is so overwhelmed with stuff in their inbox. We have emails that are like, I'll get you a million leads, or hey, I know all these things about you, and it's really creepy. Or you get the hey, just checking in. And I don't know about you, but I'm more in alignment with the hey, just checking in, and I'll reply to that.
If it's from a human, if I can tell I'm being funneled and this is part of a sales vending machine and I just got the latest, like bumping this to the top of the inbox thing, no, I'm not responding
Well,
to
we're
that.
also
So
Gen
I
X,
think
and
I'm
if
more in
somebody
the
says,
camp of it's creepy how much I know about you. If it's AI, I just ignore it because it's a robot and I don't spend my time talking to robots. I do that enough in my job. But I think the if it's relevant and I can tell it's a human who's maybe actually looked at my LinkedIn page or listened to a podcast before and they write something, then yeah, I'll have all day for that. But
and
I
I
might be
think
weird. I don't know. People say that it works, but I don't know that those robots actually work at scale. Certainly not, but also their conversion percentages have to be microscopic. What's your take?
if you get enough volume, I don't think it matters, right? Who cares? If it's going out to millions and you get just a couple and all you need is just a couple, great. But who has the money for that or the time or energy?
But
And
next month you need another million, and eventually you're going to run out of targeted people to send to.
that's what I would assume. And I think the crazy part for me is when I get things in, I also know that they are not talking to somebody in my demographic. Because if you say bumping this up to me, I'm bumping you out of my life. You don't get a chance to speak to me again. Or if you're writing to me and you've obviously pulled data from Zoom Info or something and you never checked my company website, I have people write to Rocky Smith. Hey, Rocky, your business is going great, blah, blah, blah. My response is always, who the hell is Rocky? And like, I'm not Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
Never contact me again. And like, you can see it, but I want to see what their responses are. And no one has ever responded to that.
That's really so you take the time to reply. I don't. I just delete them all. It kind of reminds me of the old days when we had like telemarketers that when you would actually call the landline or something and they would pronounce your last name wrong and you're like, "Well, look, Montague is not going to buy from you. He's not here. Sorry, wrong number." And
Oh,
I hang up and I feel like the same way about automated spam or even comments on LinkedIn now. It'll be like excellent point about AI and agency this week, Mike. Like blah blah, and you're like, no human wrote that. I know you didn't write that.
I have this feeling, and one day I'm going to get to the right person. But you remember that scene, and was it Closers, the one with Ben Affleck and what's his name? The guy, I love his
I think
name. I love him with everything. He's just so
you're right,
tough.
but I don't know that one that well. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so he gets a phone call from a guy trying to sell a newspaper subscription. And he coaches him on how to do it great. He gives him a great answer. And he's like, no, I'm not going to buy. I'm subscribed to something else. But he set him up for success in the future. That's what I
Yeah.
want to do just once.
There was another one I haven't told the story on the podcast before, but Greg Barrett is a comedian from like the early 2000s. He wrote "He's Just Not That Into You," but his stand-up was hilarious, and his name is spelled with the silent H and stuff. And he would say that all the time. He's like, I can tell. And they say, Mr. Bendert called, and he's not here. But then he got a funny call where the guy really broke the pattern and cursed and all kinds of stuff, and he was human. And he's like, well, I do have a subscription to the New York Times or whatever, and the guy like got so upset that he's like, well, now I have two subscriptions to the New York Times. Cancel the old one and buy from this guy because he's having such a bad day. But I think that's the humanity and the authenticity that we're talking about. Sometimes the authenticity can be so like so much of a pattern interrupt, but also it doesn't even have to be good. You can just be struggling, and buyers will say, you know what, I'll help you out. This person needs a win today, but they're never going to say that to a robot that's bad or a robot that's having a bad day,
Oh,
right?
no. And I mean, how does a robot have a bad day? Is that really a thing? Or is that just an AWS going down thing? I'm not sure.
Just feeling a little glitchy. Yeah, AWS went down. Yeah, for sure. Now, I do want to talk about, though, you have some systems for scaling, especially for consultants. Both you and I play in B2B space, and people that are trying to punch above their weight classes. The way I describe it is that if you're in small business, you got a really cool chance now with AI tools to do some things you've never been able to do before. You can market like a big brand and really create some powerful stuff, but that's a little bit easier said than done than people that don't have marketing or technical experience these days. So, how do you recommend people go from like side hustle to full-time job, or really scaling to get to a place where it's profitable if they're struggling in their own small business?
I think the first key is to be intentional. Be intentional with what you want to build and for who. In most cases, we don't realize we have the permission to build the business of our dreams, serving the client that we want and doing the things that we actually love to do instead of that we have to do. When we create a side hustle, it's normally, okay, I can do this. I can make extra money on the side. I can do this. And you push yourself to do it. But when it becomes that full time gig, how do you position yourself appropriately that not only you have the experience, you know what you're doing, you can get the results and the outcome that client's looking for? And it just takes a small repositioning. And then we get the right tools behind you so that all that power comes from the positioning and the offer. And how does that build on top of the outreach that you do, on top of your website messaging, on top of the case studies you write, and all the other things so that your last sale can help you get your next sale?
Yeah, I love that. I think people really underestimate referrals and the sales and marketing experience being the number one driver of that. There's been a lot of research around that. Just knowing that this person is right for you, or this person communicates the way you want, or the sales experience was what you were looking for and helpful, and felt like they were catering to you rather than that vending machine output that I was talking about, then it feels different. And people go, oh, you know what, you should talk to Rachel because she's actually a human and you're going to love meeting her. She's going to do great work for you, versus, oh yeah, I got it done for cheap through some automated online click funnel
Some
thing that
churn and burn
didn't work.
place.
Right. You're not really going to refer that. I think the other interesting part you said is choosing the business here, because I think a lot of people miss that you can have 1,000 clients at $10 a month. You can have 10 clients at $1,000 a month. You can have one client for $10,000, and all of them increase and lower the risk and the marketing output and like the difficulty levels of your life and your business. So a lot of people want to scale just to scale, but I think there are these plateaus where if you can have a really nice business as one person that's 3 to 500,000, you're great. If you have they call it the one pizza team. If you have 3 to 5 people and you're making $1 to $2 million, you're in a really great spot. Everybody's having fun. Your business is sustainable. you don't have the risk of even like a job would have of it going away, because you lose one client, you still got more and you're in a really happy spot. How do you coach or think about the marketing you have to do in order to get the lift? As I've never been a fan of retail, of trying to get 1,000 people to give me $17. That feels much harder than finding one really good person to give me the money.
Well, what we do, and we've actually done it for our own business, believe it or not. I blew it up. I said, you know what? This is what I'm currently doing. I didn't have the intention of what I was going to do in the end. It was just like, okay, we're just going to scale it and we're going to do these things. And I looked back at it and I was like, oh my God, I built a job that I don't even like. And I would have left this a long time ago had I known where I was going. And so I took a moment to actually be really intentional on what I wanted to do, who I wanted to serve, what did I want to do each day to help them, and how do I create impact in a way that feels for me authentic and meaningful. And putting those parameters in place and knowing what I'm great at on top of everything else that I want to do to serve, it helped me to reshape the entire business, change everything. I mean, everything. And really being able to get the processes and systems in place so that I can go do that in the scale of which I've chosen. Now, that's hard to do. It is a hard choice to do. It is a struggle when you first decide to do it and you are walking in mud and when you want to run.
Mm-hmm.
Once you come out on the other side, it's like, wow, what a relief. I finally can do the things I want and have the business that I want. And we've helped several of our clients do the same thing because they wanted to serve everybody. And then when you serve everybody, the problem is you're doing this for this guy, but this for this guy, and this for this guy. And so now if you want to bring on a team member, they have to be an expert in everything that you're doing. There's no way. They're going to fail.
Yeah.
Or they have to know every single industry. There's no person who's going to do that other than you. To go from like a real estate to a commercial product, to go to a consumer product, to go to something else. And it doesn't exist. So if we can restructure in a way that we get the right types of clients you want to serve, how do you want to do it? What's the right price point? Who's going to pay for that? Now, how do we elevate that experience? It resets your entire business in the right path.
Yeah. And you talked about how hard it is. I wanted to reframe that just a little bit, because I found that like when you get that, it's not actually that hard. It might be difficult to say no to money or to people asking you to do things outside of your thing, but it doesn't mean that you're going to struggle and be like, oh, I'm only for 5 people in the whole world and I got to sort through all 8 billion. I found that like when you get that authentic offer and that ask right and your target, it's actually pretty easy. And I trying to find a way to say this humbly, but with Avenue 9, I haven't lost a client yet. I've been in business for a year and a half, and all of them are still going with my retainer because the offer fits. I like doing it. They were hiring what I was trying to do, and I wasn't trying to turn myself into somebody else. And like you said, you get referrals, and I've doubled the business over that time, which is pretty easy if you don't lose any clients. And it can be fun. I've also seen throughout my career in just product launches for big brands and stuff where we could spend millions of dollars and send thousands and thousands of messages and get zero in sales. Or we created this one product where we split off kind of an introductory piece of a larger product, and it sold $16 million in the first year, and we didn't market it at all. We basically announced, hey, we're doing this. And you're like, oh, that's obvious. That's easy. That's not a struggle. And I think you have Rockstar and Moon, and I see the guitars behind you. I was in entertainment as well as a DJ and entertainer and public speaker. And I found the same thing, that a lot of people assume you have to be a starving artist or a starving musician in order to be a successful musician. And to a certain extent, that is true. You have to pay your dues and practice. Nobody is awesome rock star at the guitar the first day they pick it up.
You want to know a secret?
You also get to design your life. So yeah, go ahead. Chime in.
All the guitars that you're seeing here, it's just good branding. We can't play. This is wall jewelry. They're signed. There's no musical talent here. Like that doesn't exist. It's great branding.
It is. That's awesome. But I think,
But
yeah, the point of that story is that you get to design your life. So you can
Mhm,
also have a day job and play gigs at night, or you can practice on the
mhm,
weekends and you can create your art for people that want to buy it and buy
mhm.
tickets or buy your art. And you don't have to be a starving artist. You don't want to be
Yeah,
bad at whatever you do. Let's assume you're a good one. If you're a consultant or an accountant or a lawyer or engineer, yeah, bad
mhm,
engineers still starve too. Bad
mhm.
IT guys can't talk to anybody and they lose clients and they turn people off. But good ones who find their audience grow really fast and people love them and they have an easy business because it's sustainable and it's authentic to who they are. I
So
think.
I've been around, we've had Rockstar Moon for, I built this 16 years ago. And over the course of 16 years, there's an evolution. And that evolution is hard. I will tell you, in the beginning, I was taking on clients to do a certain type of work and building my skill set and doing the things and planning that this is just going to be a side hustle. So I could take on everything. And I did. So
Yeah.
I'm doing things that from industry to industry and change to change. And I wasn't intentional about how I was setting out to build. I just created this is some awesome extra income that I'm making. And I've had clients with me now for 16 years. Their business model doesn't really fit what I want to do anymore, but I know how to do it. So it's just that's still my side hustle. But for everyone else, we've had clients that we've turned away and that we've ended long term relationships with because they really don't fit them up. They don't fit what I want to do. There's no way that we're going to be able to service them in the way that I want to be able to build a team and the way that I want to be able to build that out and the way that I want to be able to create impact. And the hardest part is making that decision that let me find somebody better who's going to fit this niche and do all these things for you and be able to get you an impact while I move the business this way. And
And as bad as losing a client is, firing one is equally as awesome. It feels great and you feel successful and and it's fun and it makes a lot of those struggles worth it. I want to get to the next step with you though, because I do think designing it right is an important first step. Even if you're talking about AI or an AI agent, is like, are you giving ChatGPT the context and knowledge about you to even know what your offer is when it's creating a post and what you stand for, who your ideal client, a huge first step. But then we got to get to a point of sort of automation or scaling, or at least processes and systems and people in place to grow this business beyond what we can do in 24 hours. Can you talk a little bit about how you found success with that?
so June was a really terrible month for me. In June, the my longtime employee who'd been with me for 3 years, who could read my mind, turned in her notice.
Mm.
And that was the moment. My husband looked at me and he said, "You know what? I challenge you. Can you just automate 20% of her job?" Because hiring somebody new in to teach all the different things and redo the processes and redo the things and get them up to speed, that may kill you, especially after the hiring process, right? So, like, let's build in some automations for stuff that you don't really need a person for. I said, okay. So I worked from 3 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week for 3 weeks. And in 21 days, I'd automated about 85 or 90% of her entire job. I did not have to rehire.
Wow.
And she was our project manager. She was involved in everything, client communications, this and that and the other. And what do you do and how do you do it? So I restructured bottom to top. I redid how do we design a product? What is going to be in that? What's the process? How is this going to be even input into the system? What do tasks look like? How do tasks get managed? All of those things that was a person's job who was so integral to the company. And without that job, my company couldn't function. And at the same time, I had my full time role dealing with all the clients and doing all the other things that I'm doing and running the business. So, how was I going to take that on? And when you look back, it was so eye opening and such a great opportunity to be able to say, hey, you know what? I never thought about automating this. What if I do this? And then how do I push that to the next level? And then let me go test this and see if this is the right approval workflow that I'm expecting. And In doing that, not only do we expand our capabilities, but we've been able to scale in ways I didn't think we could. I was concerned I would be working that long shift till the end of time until I got somebody in and had them fully trained. But because we didn't have to do that, I was like, all right, I have extra capacity. And the team had extra capacity because now we are so proactive instead of reactive. So now instead of, oh my God, we forgot about this and we have to get this in the system and all those things, we're no longer firefighters. It was such an amazing transformation.
I love that. And I find that too. Can you be a little bit more specific about some of the things that you were able to automate and what tools you used and stuff? How'd you pull it off?
I started in ClickUp, and one of the things that, because that's our project management system. And so what I did in there is really start with defining what products we want to provide to our clients. In products, it could be, is it a website build? Is it a series of socials? Is it LinkedIn newsletters? Is it, what is it? Is it defining the brand? Is it a YouTube video? Any of those things. Then from each of those separate products, I've created, what is that product look like? I created a brand kit for every single client that is linked into every single task. I have not only the product definition, but in there, but here's all the processes that need to happen to make that task work. That's all in automation, that the minute the task gets created, all of that gets assigned within each client folder. Then we took it a step further and I said, okay, so I know I have emails that have to be done and we need to create emails for the next 6 months for my client and they go out every week. What do I do? So rather than going in and typing each friggin' email out, we already know the date. So why not just download that, upload that into the system, have it create the task automatically, and then automatically sign that out 2 weeks before it's due.
Great.
Easy, right? But previously, if you think about all the things that would have been done, you would have had a person who's going to now write all these things up, and then you're going to have production. It was a mess. And so that got fixed. Then we took it to another level where reporting, we put that into agency analytics. And agency analytics, we then asked to be able to do actionable insights so that we have an AI that will go through, read everything, and then put out, okay, here's the top things that have happened this month, and do that as a full report to my clients and do all the reporting that we were doing manually before, because Looker Studio had some things, but then it would miss some things, and then it wasn't always 100% what we were seeing. So we played around enough that we have this full dashboard and system where now we have a hub for everything for our clients and a weekly wrap up that is there automatically from ClickUp. So our clients are able to streamline everything in one place. And it's just a better client experience. And then we took it to the next level where every week they get a reminder of an email. Hey, your weekly wrap up's ready with everything ready to roll every Thursday. And it's a level of automation that if you took a step back and what did we look like before, that's a full-time person.
Yeah, for sure. And I like what you're doing there because I think one of the things people miss is they try to create AI that replaces the person and not necessarily the tasks. And a lot of what you're automating is internal, it's not client facing. You're not automating the marketing that you're doing, you're not automating the messages or the voice or all of the stuff that would be required to create those emails. You're automating the project plan, the stuff that nobody really likes to do, all the organizational stuff and the reminders and the follow-ups and triggers that are super annoying people drop balls on.
And they're so necessary to running a business. It's the most integral part, which is why you have to have the best trained person to do that, who's going to know, hey, I got to follow up with this person on this day and make sure this comes in. No, it's already handled. It's already there.
Yeah, I think a big one, and we mentioned earlier about lifestyle design. I figured out with my contracts and my accounting software, I was like, I do not want to be in the collections business. I don't want people arguing about it. I don't want to renegotiate contracts. Like, I want to set this up as simply as possible so that the automated invoices go out every month. They get paid every month. If they don't get paid, they get reminders automatically. And I just look at what the cash flow is basically, and I don't have to be an accountant or hire one to do my business. And same thing with the incoming bills and all of that stuff. Maybe if you're an accountant listening to this, great, you love it. But most people didn't create their small business so that they could play accounting and bookkeeper part time. So figure out how to automate that stuff and not automate the work that you're doing, not replacing the stuff that you love doing, the writing, the creating, or the problem solving that you get paid to do. Keep that stuff for you and automate the rest of the stuff. I think that's a huge lesson.
And I think the biggest key is if you're looking at what the role of a person actually is, it doesn't necessarily translate to what it should be. Because what I would have hired for, there is no way that it would have done all the things that I've now been able to build. So,
Yeah.
what's the goal? How do you serve your clients the best and give them that incredible experience so that they want to keep coming back? They want to keep working with you and you can keep wowing them in other ways. Because it's the administrative stuff is the reason why most people lose business. They
Yeah.
forget to follow up. They forget this. They forget that. And there's something there. So a ball gets dropped. Whereas if it's just handled, great. Now think about all the other things you can do with the time that you're supposed to be using for them.
I love it. All right. Now, my last question for you is, how do you think this plays out? I know that there's like I call it an event horizon. There's like a limit of maybe 7 years out now where nobody has any idea what's going to be past that. Nobody really knows what 3 years looks like, but we can assume that the next 3 to 7 years maybe are more of what we've been seeing in different trends. I like to go past that. What do you think it looks like 30 years from now? Are we in like Minority Report and people reading advertising and from our eyeballs and spamming us or creating custom ads on the fly? Are there still small businesses, or are we all on universal basic income and serving the AI lords? If you had to take your best guess, what do you think happens?
I think at some point, we as humans need to learn to think again and research again for ourselves.
Mhm.
And I think at some point in the future, there is going to be a revolution where we realize that all the things that we are being shown is from an algorithm that we do not control. And with that, critical reasoning may actually come back into play. And it could be really cool to see all the different types of fact checkers, all the different things that are actually coming out. And we have the opportunity to choose our reality. And that is my hope for the future.
I love that. My answer, in short, is I think like it leaves time for us to play and be creative and be artists and be rock stars and stuff if we don't have to worry about the shelter, the food, and the healthcare and other stuff that causes so much of our time, sort of like the admin we've been talking about here. And we've been talking about it with Rachel Minion from Rockstar and Moon. You can find her at rachelminion.com. Head rockstar over there. What are you guys doing at Rockstar and Moon? How can you help us? How can we help you?
Well, we have created the profit multiplier. It's what we've done with our done for you clients. And we put that into a system. And now we're working with a done with you set of clients, as well as we've created it as a DIY. So we are looking to help in the next 5 years, 100 businesses double. And that's what we put a framework into place to do. And that's where we've been successful in helping not only double revenue, but double businesses.
Yeah, doubling the profit is more fun than doubling the
Yeah.
revenue. I've learned that lesson the hard way in my career too. Go learn more at rachelminion.com. She has some other really cool and heartfelt projects you can check out there as well. Until next time, you can go to avenue9.com and check out what we have going on, helping you build the context and the framework around your business to get all of the automation right. So we'll interview your founder, your top salesperson, your best client, collect all of those context and inputs so that you can create some really cool stuff with AI and really move your business forward in the marketing side. If that sounds interesting to you, go to avenue9.com. Until next time, keep going. Bye, everybody.